a really long-winded, so I got a really long-winded, but the exciting news is, yeah, I'm very excited, but I'm kind of tempering that excitement because there's a lot of work to be done. Hey everybody, this is Paul, and I mentioned the other day I had some really great news for Whispers in the Walls, and one of the things that was kind of weighing on me, I've been working on some stuff for a little while now, and we were actually pretty set to go into production this summer. You know, we were going to shoot it for a modest indie amount. We had the funds, we were ready to roll, and then an opportunity presented itself, and it's, you know, when I did Unwanted back in 2017, it was released, and then by the end of that year, we had a chance for distribution, both internationally. Now, I had self-distributed on Amazon, which back then was pretty lucrative. Didn't take them long. After about a couple of years, they kind of like started cutting down their payouts across the board, and then they eventually, because of people kept uploading to them, they kind of like passed down this edict that they weren't going to accept any more unsolicited shorts or documentaries, but you could still upload features as long as it kind of met their standard. Now, Unwanted, it didn't get the greatest reviews on Amazon. I mean, it kind of went through its cycle, which is expected. It is what it is. And after about 3 years, they took it off the platform, and now it sits on YouTube, and it still gets modest, you know, kind of, I don't know, views per month, you know, and does fine there, and I'm pretty happy with where it's at. You know, for my first film, I was pretty grateful for everybody that worked on that film, and everything came. But, you know, the big mistake I made with the Unwanted was when I had a chance for distribution deals, I was so burned out on working on that film, I just didn't want to do it. You know, and so I kind of like took the information I got from and it was repped by Micah Lyons out of AFM, and he did get me 3 offers coming out of AFM, and 2 of them during, and then 1 of them came about 3-4 months later. And I passed on all those offers, going, you know, don't worry, the next one, we'll do it right the next time, because the deliverable list for distribution is pretty extensive, you know, and I didn't know that when I went into Unwanted. So that was my first kind of big mistake in indie film. You get a chance for distribution, take it, because once you're distributed, it's kind of like you know, once you're distributed, then it's a lot easier, I think, to get distributed on future projects, you know, and you know, you're kind of somewhat established within the indie market. The next chance I got came about 1.5 years later, or actually almost 2, maybe 3 years later, honestly. I had done the promo for London, Texas, where we spent 9 months shooting, editing, doing post-production, and not necessarily my best visual effects work, but it was still pretty early on in my in my little film journey, so to speak. And so I kind of like realized, you know, the mistakes I made in that process. Learned a lot from it. I also learned a lot from working on a film called Gypsy Moon, where I did a ton of post-production visual effects. I had to learn a lot of techniques. So, I mean, it's a process, I mean, yeah, that you're going to learn from. So I was just sitting around. I got an email from a guy who's a producer out of LA. This is back, I don't know, 2019. And he said, hey, you know, I was thinking about doing a story on the London school disaster. I went online to look up information. What do I find? I find your promo. And I watched it. I really, really liked it. And he said, what do you think the chances of you getting your hands on the script are? And I said, well, you know, I can reach out to Ron, who wrote the script, and see what he says. But I knew that time that Ron kind of had his eyes on some bigger fish, you know, to get involved and direct it. And he wasn't, you know, willing. He wanted a full-time industry professional to direct that film. I get it. And I didn't. And it was so funny is every time he was such a great guy. Every time he would come out to one of our screenings for one of my projects, you know, I'd lean over and I'd say, you ready to give me that film yet? And he just kind of laugh, you know. So he told me that he felt I deserved a shot you know, based off what he saw with my other work. And, you know, if he could put a professional crew and everybody around me, you know, then maybe I'd get that shot. And unfortunately, that didn't work out. So I've gone on, and since then I've worked on a lot of other people's films. You know, Bill Foster, David Ford. I've you know, worked with Michael Lyons and in different projects. You know, just here and there. We did Perdition together. Perdition's probably my most successful project to date that me and Micah collaborated on. That was filmed back in 2019, and it wasn't released till 2021 to festival, mainly because of COVID. I didn't want to do festivals virtually. So next, you know, you just keep trucking along. Next came, I wanted to go back to kind of like the unwanted genre, and I felt like that was kind of like where my interest was. And so I started writing a screenplay. I wrote several that just didn't quite gel, and then we came up with The Had Not Man. I had a bunch of people kind of help me with that. It was started out as a short, and back in 2022 we started filming it in January. We filmed in March, and we were going to do kind of like a sizzle reel to kind of promote the film, to help us raise the money. We did everything, pitch deck. Michael Lyons came on board for to work on me with that one. And when we got the budget back on that one, and we did an Indiegogo campaign, we raised some money. We raised money to help us get the budget, and the budget came back, and the initial estimate was right under $1 million to make that film. So then we proceeded to move forward with trying to raise some money. We could not get the film greenlit financially at that time, at least. And because you got to realize, you know, it's like you're gonna go from making unwanted costs like $10,000, and I've worked on bigger films, but I haven't directed bigger films. So you have to look at what the industry kind of like labels you as, and you kind of like you want to work your way up, and I hadn't successfully done that up to this point. So the interesting part was, you know, The Had Not Man's a really good story, and I think it's a great film. And it's gonna get me. It's gonna happen. But I got a little caught up in my feelings about it not getting greenlit and us not being able to raise the money. And so back in December, I started working on other films because I felt like I didn't have enough options to present to a producer or to just go out and tackle myself. So I wrote 2 more films between the end of November and February. And the one that I felt like was something we could pull off this year was a film called Whispers in the Walls. Really liked the script. I was working with Jennifer Pritchett. She was helping me with the writing on it. She's listed as a co-writer. I was working with Ty Jackson. I was working with Kate Iglesias as a producer on that one initially, so that we could get it done. We had raised some money, and once I felt like we were in a spot that we're ready to roll forward, I kind of put it out there for everybody to see. You know, I wanted everybody to see what we're about. Went ahead and I was reaching out to producers in LA, and there was a specific producer I reached out to because he specializes with indie filmmakers, and I don't know if it's probably best I don't go too far into details yet, but I didn't want to say anything unless when things worked out, because when me and him had our first meeting, it went really, really well. And he was just a really nice guy. So we kind of like just kept on talking. And then the question came down to, you know, I pitched him all of my films and that I had, you know, and I listed Echoes of the Artemis, which it's a kind of an alien sci-fi thing, which is a little bit probably too advanced to try and pull off for me right now. Then I pitched him The Had Not Man, and I pitched him Whispers on the Walls, and he was interested in Whispers on the Walls initially, and so I sent him a script. I sent him my demo materials so he could see what kind of a director I was. The potential was really starting to get kind of exciting, so I was keeping it on the down low. I didn't want to say anything until there was something in writing or we had signed some kind of a contract or something. So the exciting part is we have sign the contract. The big lesson learned here is that opportunities, they don't generally seek you out. Like when the second producer in my 3 opportunities over the last 7 years, yeah, that's pure luck that they find your stuff and then they reach out to you. I'm just gonna be honest. That seldom happens. If that happens to you, it's mostly because you've done something that's gone viral and it's caught their attention. Okay. The reason that Unwanted, not to go back to that, but the reason Unwanted was repped at AFM and the reason Unwanted got the offers it got was because of what it did over a 3-month span in the summer of 2017 on Amazon. And then there was interest. The second one, pure luck. The guy found my stuff online, reached out to me directly. Probably not going to happen in most cases. And it didn't work out. And then so the way that this one's kind of come to fruition is, I took a chance. I reached out to him. And so the message to this story is you just never know. And if you're an indie filmmaker, you're trying to kind of like, you want to grow and get better and all that stuff, don't hesitate to reach out, because the worst thing they're going to do is say no. Or they'll say, I'm not a producer I don't think I'm a producer can help you. Maybe they give you a reference to someone they know that might be able to help you, but you really have to take that first step. Otherwise, chances are really good it's never going to happen. So don't sit around waiting for it to happen. So the exciting news is a really long-winded. I got a really long-winded, but the exciting news is, yeah, I'm very excited, but I'm kind of tempering that excitement because there's a lot of work to be done. So we have signed a development agreement with the producer in LA, and we're moving forward with Whispers on the Walls. Very excited to see what this thing turns into, how it evolves, and how much I'm going to learn through this process. Just so stay tuned. I'm keeping a lot of this stuff under wraps because I don't want to get ahead of my skis. This is a great opportunity to work with people out of LA, spec writers, to help develop the script, line producers, to watch them put a budget together, a proper budget, proper schedule, casting directors that are gonna bring in all these potential opportunities for different actors and choices that can play these different roles, and see how this plays out in the real world, in the industry as a norm. That's the day-to-day routine. On the indie film, we tend to wing it in most cases. Some people are more farther along than others, but I am excited about this opportunity, and I do want to share it with you guys and let you know where we're at with the projects. The big projects, obviously we have some smaller shorts that we're working on, and those are kind of like that's a whole different conversation. Those are in progress. So with that, I just want to give you guys that update. Hopefully it's this video is somehow useful. All right.